Hello, my name is Kai, and I am a bit of a rambler. I like to travel, learn, and tell stories. And today, I'm gonna ramble on, tell you about what happened this weekend, other stuff that I remember, probably forgot most of it. So, what's been going on? I was getting ready to climb Peakle because when I moved into this new apartment, the guy was like, "That's Peakle. You should climb it." I told him I loved climbing mountains, and I climbed a few, and he was like, "Climb that one. That's the biggest one around here. You have this great view of Cusco, and it's awesome." So I was like, "Yeah, for sure." And I kind of put it off for a few days, maybe a couple of weeks. I don't know. I'm really bad with time. And then I was like, "Let's just do it. Let's go climb Peakle today." And I pushed myself and I got my hat and I put on sunscreen and I just got all this stuff ready and I was like, okay. And when I was getting ready, I checked outside and it was blue sky and all this. And it took me, I don't know, 5 minutes to get ready. I had a day bag with a thing of water in it, put on sunscreen, got my hat, got my sun sleeves. And I looked out the window and clouds had descended onto the peak of this mountain. And the moment I looked out the window, I saw lateral lightning crackle across the top of Peakle. And I was like, all right, I guess I'll wait then. That happens, already at 11,000 feet. So clouds descend on these mountains quite a bit. But it was just really funny because it was a pretty nice clear blue sky. And I was like, all right, let's just do it. Let's go see this mountain. And then the next time I glance out the window, craboom! And there's lightning and thunder and a swirling cloud exactly where I was going to go was right around the tip of Peakle. And I was like, oh, okay, I get it. And I took the hint and I got some smoked ribs and walked around the city instead. Don't worry, I went there soon after, and I will talk about that. But first, let's talk about Halloween. My mom asked me if there was Halloween in Cusco, and I was like, I don't think so. I think they just do Day of the Dead. I was totally wrong. Everybody was dressed up. I didn't realize that. Of course, I've never been here before. But yeah, it was huge here. All of the kids were dressed up. I saw like a couple kids at 5 p.m. or something, and I was like, oh wow, they do have Halloween here. I guess it's like kind of a thing because a few kids were dressed up, but not all of them. But then by 8 p.m., all the kids and half of the adults were in costume. Like straight, it just looked like any U.S. American city I'd been to during Halloween. It was incredibly festive. It was very fun. And the coolest thing, I saw this couple on my way home dressed as Hollow Knight and Hornet, the protagonists of the two Hollow Knight games, and they had made papier-mâché helmets. And she had the Hornet dress, and he had the Hollow Knight garb with robes, and the papier-mâché helmets looked awesome. They looked really cool. They were carrying the heads because it's hot to wear them all the time and not safe when you're crossing the street, as these folks were. But they were like size appropriate for the size of their bodies because they have big heads in the game. And they were so cool. So they let me take a picture of them and I was so happy. And very impressive considering those were homemade costumes. I mean, they looked really, really good. Like they looked cooler than if they were like plastic molded Hollow Knight and Hornet heads. Because those games are all like crackly, medieval, post-utopian era games. Like everything's crumbling there. So the papier-mâché crackly texture just felt right at home with the whole games. And it wasn't even super noticeable because they painted it with bright white paint, the masks. It looked great. It's just you can see the papier-mâché cracks, and it fits the aesthetic of those characters perfectly. It was so cool. So that was really impressive. And then all the kids were in cute costumes, and everyone had... The costumes were really impressive. It was a super cool Halloween, and I walked around just looking at people dressed up a lot. And then they still celebrated Day of the Dead, but Day of the Dead is usually celebrated in the morning here, I guess, is what I heard from Peruvian. So maybe that's why Halloween is popular, so they can party at night also. A lot of parties here. A lot of drunken parties here. I think, I feel like I see people drinking and people hanging out a lot. I haven't been to any drunken parties here, especially not lately. I've been sobering up lately, been all healthy lately. Found a new pizza place, my favorite pizza place in Cusco. Super, super good dough. Very soft. It's clear they let it sit for a long time, so there's lots of air throughout all of it. Very stretchy. The calzone is so good. The only problem is they put salchicha sausage here, but it's like sliced up hot dogs, which is gross. But if you ask for no salchicha, then you can skip the sliced hot dogs. The pizza ingredients are super fresh. The dough is super good. They still don't have enough sauce for my liking. They have very little sauce, to be honest. Tomato sauce. But the tomato sauce they do have is good, and the ingredients are all good. So that's my pizza place that I go to. I've tried other ones. They all are more expensive and suck. That's the other thing. This place is cheaper than all the other places I've been to. And I have a sneaking suspicion it's because it's on the second floor. So they're making it cheaper for the people who do walk all the way to the second floor, because most restaurants are on the first. And you have to go up the stairs to get to it. So maybe that's why it's cheaper. But it's definitely cheaper, and it's definitely better. It's definitely the best pizza dough I have had in this city. And I'm just not going to try other pizza places anymore, because I was curious if maybe there's a place with that good dough and better sauce, but there is not. And this place is already so good. The dough itself, like, you also get a free calzone with every pizza, and the calzone is so good, it's not even worth it to keep trying these other pizza places that do not measure up, because the dough is so good. Oh, I was confused by this next part. I started writing a song about not getting dressed at home, not wearing clothes at home. I can't remember what the tune was. And you can't make me put any pants on. That's not... Oh, wait. That's not what private... That was it. That's not what private apartments are for. I politely close my curtains and the lock is engaged on my door. I'm not wearing pants today, or most of the other days too. If I wanted to be wearing pants, then I would be talking to you. Don't bother me with deliveries, don't step up to my property. I just wanna be butt naked today. Is that really so hard to believe? That was it. I think that's definitely a song by like Steel Panther or something that I'm stealing. You can't make me put any pants on. That's not what private apartments are for. I politely close my curtains and the lock is engaged on my door. That was it. So that's a song I'm writing about being butt naked in your own home. Butt naked. Oh, man. The world can be pretty fun. Butt naked is it's just funny. Just funny saying butt naked. That's a funny turn of phrase. Oh, don't delete it. Whoops. Just delete it off the list, but I need to save that for the bank. Got to put that in my song bank and actually try and make a song out of that. That'll be fun. Bank card. I found a bank card. A card from a bank. A debit card or credit card on a steep incline between two ridges when I did hike Peak Hole. So a couple days after the heavens cautioned me against climbing that highest peak with a quick bolt of lightning and a darkening of the clouds, I went up again on a nice day, and there was a bunch of switchbacks and unconnected trails and all this stuff, and I was like, ooh, I can get to the switchback real quick if I just climb up this incline. And it was like, I don't know, 50 feet, and halfway up, super steep incline. Like, I had to crawl up with my hands and knees. And halfway up, I was just like looking down while I was scrambling up the hill, and there was a bright blue debit card right there. And I was like, what the fluff? And so I got the debit card. Did I already talk about this? Sorry if I already talked about this, but it was very bizarre. And I stared at it, but I was really tired from scrambling up this hill, So I didn't look around more, but now I'm like, was there a body or a wallet or other stuff there? And I want to go back and check if there was, and I haven't yet. So then the next day, I cleaned off the card, which was not expired yet. It was still ready to go. And I found the bank chain and went in there and gave the card to the security guard, and he was kind of confused. And I was like, I found this on a mountain yesterday. He was like, okay, great, thanks, and gave it to someone at the counter. So that'd be cool if I gave someone's card back to them that they lost climbing the mountain, or when they got beat up by the mafia and their possessions got beat out of them. That happens a lot. Okay, so I found this bank card. That was pretty crazy. On the way down from the mountain, I made it up to Peak Hole. It was super cool. To climb up to the top of it, I had to scramble up this dry river that was clearly, if it rained, that would flash flood really quick. But there was just this gravelly dry river, and there were definitely other routes. But I tried climbing mountains. I tried climbing several routes, and none of them worked. And then there was a river, kind of dry river leading up to the top, and I was just like, okay. And I just scrambled up it for a couple hundred feet for a long time. But I didn't have a pole with me, so it was really steep, and I was dangerous. If I fell down, I would be falling for 200 feet down a mountain. It was stupid, and it got so dangerous at one point that I didn't make it completely to the peak. I was grabbing handfuls of grass sticking out from this sheer side of the mountain. I slipped down a couple times, but caught myself. And I had maybe 50 feet left to go till the peak that I saw. It probably wasn't even the main peak. Every time I climb a mountain here, there are higher mountains behind or higher mountains a couple miles away. There's it's the Andean Mountains. There are so many mountains here. But from the peak of Peak Hole that I could see from my house that everyone considers, the one directly overlooking Cusco, I was 40, maybe even 40. I was pretty close to the peak, but it was really dangerous to scramble up the remaining. And I was like, I'm on the peak. I'm on the slope of the peak. That's pretty much. And I was fine. I took the win. I'm going to try and go back up there, actually, to get to the peak and bring a pole with me. Actually, the pole of the mango grabber that I use as a dog whacking stick. But I was happy with up there. The view was incredible. It was insane. That was a crazy, crazy hike. I reached my danger threshold not having prepared for such a steep climb, considering how many paths there generally are for these mountains, and I just chose to climb up the wrong dry, gravelly riverbed with no handholds or pathways or trails. But it was a super cool climb, and I still feel like I got to the peak because I was on the peak slope. And it was an hours long climb. It was a lot. I went all around. I didn't go on one trail either. I went on a whole bunch of trails up to Peak Hole. I feel like the next time I go up there, it's going to be a much faster climb because I won't feel the need to explore everything. I can just get up there. There was a family on their way down. Well, I was on my way down from Peak Hole, actually. There was a bunch of houses being built at the base of the mountain, and the guy asked if it was my house because I looked like I was walking out of one of the houses, and they were hanging out on the swing sets there. And I was like, oh no, I just happened to walk down the mountain because I didn't know where any of the paths were, so when I came down. And we talked for a bit, and they had very nice dogs, and the dogs followed me as I walked down, and I got to, oh, hey, doggy, and scruff up their hair and say hello to the dogs on the way down the mountain. Oh, on the way up the mountain, I saw a cool hat guy and his brother. Two brothers were hiking. I assume they were brothers. We didn't really talk about it. But one of them had a super cool Incan hat. The hats, they have such good style here. And all of the cool hiking hats kind of look like Stetsons, like cowboy hats. And then his had a band of geometric designs, multicolored, super bright geometric designs that Incan designs and then a couple feathers sticking out. They just look cool. Like the hat's all black, but there's a band of bright color and geometric design, and then a couple cool brightly colored feathers sticking out. Their traditional dress and their modern dress, it's just cooler than most countries. Bright colors. I'm not into drab colors as much these days. I have a black jacket. My shirts are black, but I do have a white shirt and a purple shirt. I like brighter colors these days. And Peruvians, the super bright colors matched with blocky geometric patterns, complex geometric patterns, it just clicks in my brain really well. All the different colors and then cool geometric patterns, which I guess is typical of a lot of African fashion also. I gotta get down to Africa. So there was a cool family. We talked. I got to play with their dog. Cool hat guy, his brother. I rode Cambodia glasses, which are the glasses I've had for the last decade that miraculously still function very well for $30 or whatever I spent. I don't think any new development has happened. Yeah, I can't remember why I wrote down about my glasses. Oh, from Cool Hat Guy and his brother, I learned the correct pronunciation of the mountain, Pikol, because I thought it was Pikal. And I was saying Pikal to everyone when I asked them questions about climbing the mountain. And I got some answers, but it was always difficult to explain to them the mountain I was talking about until I pointed it out or something. And then these guys coming down, I said, "Is that how you say that, Pikal?" He's like, do you mean Pikol? And I was like, "Oh, Pikol. That's the name of it, Pikol." I had just been pronouncing this mountain name wrong for a very long time. Oh, I changed the Lemmy community to be general travel because I've been treating it like a blog, just sharing my travel. And I'm still just posting all the stuff that's happening to me in Cusco and travel information in general. But I'm posting more general travel information. And I changed the sidebar. I changed the title of the Lemmy community to travel instead of my username, Bit of a Rambler, so that it was more general. And I changed the sidebar to explicitly mention post here if you want to. Nobody has yet, I don't think, but I changed it recently, and now I think more people are subscribing to it because it's a general travel community, and I think I'm getting more comments also on the posts, and I hope more people join because so many Americans, US Americans especially, are complaining about how dire their financial state is in the US. People are I just read a post that said, "Are there any good jobs that are easy to get?" And everyone who answered was a US American. There were probably 20 answers, and more than half of them were sarcastic, like, "You can't blah, 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 blah." And I was just like, English teacher, you get up to $100 per hour. You choose your own schedule. You don't have to prep. You speak your native language. There's no requirements apart from speaking English. Like, yeah, there is an easy job to get that by most metrics people measure jobs by is a very good job. And so many US Americans are complaining about their cost of living, and they'll get like 100 responses, and most of them are sarcastic, being like, "Yep, it sucks. That's my life. Been doing it for 40 years. There's no way around it." And I just want to tell them all, you just get a plane ticket. You fly to 100 other countries at least, and you will be paying 10% of what you're paying now in the States. What am I paying? The average in the States is like $1,600 USD a month now for a tiny apartment. I have a 3-bedroom, 2-bath for less than $300 right now, so I'm paying less than 20% for a much better housing situation. And anyone can do this. This is public prices. I'm not getting deals. I'm just using Airbnb. So I just want to make the Lemmy community general, to make this information that I'm already sharing more accessible to everyone. I want people to feel comfortable asking for help from traveling. I keep thinking maybe I should name it Traveling and Living Abroad, but I don't know if I want a more complicated name like that. And also, traveling and living abroad, they're the exact same thing. Like, the only difference is duration, but it's not even duration, because once you are traveling, you are living abroad. And when you're living abroad, you're traveling in places. So I don't know if I should make that clear in the name of the community, traveling and living abroad. What do you think? If you are listening to this and you think that would make people more likely to engage if it was traveling and living abroad as the title instead of just travel for the community, let me know. I'll be curious what you think, because yeah, it'll be right there. So maybe people will ask about what's the difference between traveling and living abroad, and I can explain there's no difference. Okay, what's been happening? The guy I have been helping move abroad the past couple of months has moved. He's in El Salvador. Very exciting. Someone moved abroad and is making a go of it. Certainly his money is taking him farther than before. I should mention, he did get into an altercation with police, and one of the last things I said is, don't get into altercations with police. Don't get into altercations while you are traveling. You are a guest in a country. Laws are the exact same as in the US. If the police officer likes you, you don't get in trouble. If the police officer doesn't like you, you get in trouble in the US, and this guy is from the US. And if you go to any other country, the laws are the exact same. If the police officer likes you, you're fine. If the police officer doesn't like you, you're in trouble. It doesn't matter what the actual law is. And this guy sent me a photo of himself getting into an altercation with a police officer. And I was like, no, we just talked about this several days ago. Luckily, he didn't get in too much trouble, and he moved on to a new city. He was talking about his options, and I was like, different city is probably a good idea if you got into a fight. Not a fight, but like if you started stepping up to a police officer and got in his face, probably a good idea to be safe and just get to a different town. Don't be positive, folks. Don't start stuff, and just when you're traveling, you're an ambassador to all other travelers. And the reason your life is so great traveling abroad, things are so cheap, is because of the value of the country you are in. So whatever upsets you, you have to look at it from their perspective. The perspective of the locals is far more important and relevant than your own perspective as a traveler. As a traveler, you should be learning, but above all, you should be respectful of the place you're in, because especially for us US Americans, the fact that we're able to live in these countries and the cost of living is so much cheaper, and we can speak English fluently, so we have literally guaranteed jobs at 20 times, 50 times more than the average person is making in that country. You just can't. Literally 50 times. It's what? They make $200 a month in Peru, and you can make $10,000 a month as an English speaker in China. That's 50 times as much money. You're so privileged, especially you English speakers and you US Americans. Please understand that if you are traveling and instantly your life is so much better, you don't deserve it. You don't deserve this life. There's another place where your money will go farther, and you should respect that circumstance that you are fortunate enough to be able to move into. You deserve to change your circumstances. Everybody does, and I talk about that a lot, that you're able to, but you're not owed any of this. You're just another monkey on the surface of this planet, like me, and we're all here briefly, and none of us are given anything. We were just lucky enough to be born fluent English speakers with good passports from a wealthier country, and so we get to live in a bunch of places. I will say, I think passports are misunderstood. Most countries, you can go to way more than 100 countries visa-free travel. People seem to think that the US passport is very powerful. It's good, but most passports are very powerful. Most passports are about as powerful as all other passports. You can go to more countries with some passports, but it's not a crazy amount more. Anyway, travelers, very fortunate. Don't mess with locals. You're lucky to be there. Learn from them, and if they're doing something you disagree with, walk away. Do not tell them that they are doing something wrong if it's their culture. If they're treating you a certain way and nobody is acting like it's weird that they're treating you a certain way, that's probably how they treat people in that country. You do not have to like it, but you have no right to change how they treat people in their country, and you're not going to change them anyway. That is how they act. That is their culture, whatever it is. They don't pay enough attention to you, or they pay too much attention to you because you don't look like them. Whatever it is, if it really bothers you, leave. There's another 200 countries to go check out. Plenty of them will completely disregard you if that's the problem. Half the time, if you're getting singled out, they're curious because there's not a lot of foreigners where you are. So you've got to see things from their perspective. It's not fair to expect a country to change its culture to suit your sensibilities. Flow in that river of international travel. Learn and appreciate. And this is not directed specifically at that new traveler now. I'm telling this to all people who want to travel. It makes life so much easier too. It makes travel so much more enjoyable if every time something happens you don't understand, you're saying, what is the perspective in which this makes sense? What is the cultural perspective in which this makes sense? Why pick up rocks for those dogs? Why is there Halloween in Cusco? As long as you're trying to see things from their perspective, you don't even have to know why. You don't have to figure out the answer. As long as when you are curious about something, you come from their perspective, the culture you are traveling within, things make a lot more sense. You don't need to put everything together, but it's like, okay, so they do have Halloween and Day of the Dead in their culture. That's another puzzle piece of this culture. It becomes a game of learning instead of a game of, well, that's not how I think things should operate. Which if you think like that, then you're going to be very unhappy traveling. That's the main problem. Everybody I know who has had trouble with traveling has gone to a new country and thought, that's not how I think people should act, and I will change them. That's some Don Quixote stuff. That is some windmill tilting. That is staring at a mountain and being upset that the mountain is not where you think the mountain should be. The world, it's set. It works in ways. It's changing all the time. But don't be upset because apples are red or green. Like, that's just the color that apples are. It's fine. You think apples should be blue. That's okay, but they're not. And that's okay. Acceptance, empathy, and tolerance is key to travel and key to living, even if you're not traveling. It just makes life so much more simple if you acknowledge that other people have valid perspectives as well. Well, soapbox, step down. For lunch afternoon. I've been having a lot of lunches lately because the food here is so effing good. I love Peruvian food. I had 4 lunches this week, and then I did it again the next day. I had 4 lunches several days this week because there were a bunch of new dishes. I thought I had tried like more than half of all the dishes here, and then that last week, maybe I read more, or I just realized I was like, maybe the stews are different, and the stews are all different. And I tried I tried a whole bunch of different stuff, and it's all great. It's all great. The food here is so good, and there's so many different good dishes. There are more different good dishes in Peru than there are in other countries I have been to recently. Certainly Panama, there are more local Peruvian dishes in a greater range than there are local Panamanian dishes in a great range. Way more than Guatemala, for sure. Definitely more than Colombia. Colombia had a lot, but I don't know. Peru, it just feels... The foods feel so distinct. Even if they're different stews, you're just like, that is a different dish altogether. Even the States. I mean, I can't really... The States is such a hodgepodge, it'd be difficult for me to say what American food is. Hamburgers? What's American food? What is American food? I always think of American food as just all other countries' food all together. So we have a lot of variety that way. But in terms of native food, well, I guess if we go back to actual Native Americans, we have like flatbread and stuff. And what's that animal fat mixed thing that's getting hipster popular these days? Anyway, Peruvians have a stunning variety of distinct dishes that are super frickin' tasty. I got high elevation sushi. I had an amazing talk because turns out sushi in Peru comes with soy sauce and a sweet liquid. I didn't know what the sweet liquid was, and so I asked the guy next to me, and he was like, "That's honey." And I was like, "But what?" Turns out in Peru, they give you honey with your sushi. That's cool. I tried it. It's good. I still like soy sauce better, but honey is great. And it's not a bad accompaniment to most things I've had it with, including sushi now. So my sushi wasn't bad. I was curious about trying high elevation sushi. And it wasn't bad, but the reason this trip was so cool to the sushi restaurant was because I met Jeremy, the man who told me, yes, in Peru, they serve honey with sushi. Because he not only told me about that, he told me about glaciers, mountains, lakes, all these crazy things that I was unaware of were so accessible to me to visit. He told me about Lake Singuranacocha, which became my focus, kind of an obsession these past couple of weeks. Because there was huge glacier mountains behind this incredibly turquoise lake. And it was just... I ended up going there. I'll talk about that later down this list, maybe the next episode. But he gave me so many places to visit, and I visited some of them, and we talked for like 2 hours in this sushi restaurant, just trading stories and travel stories. I had been to ruins he hadn't been to in Cusco yet, and I showed him some pictures. I was like, this one's right there, and this is clearly a real Incan ruin because the stones are huge and they fit perfectly together. And then he showed me pictures of him visiting a glacier. Just so many. We had so many stories to trade. It was a really cool talk. And when I was leaving the restaurant, I was in front of him in line and I was like, should I pay for him? But my Spanish isn't good enough to ask the lady, can I pay for him? Except I realized it was fine. I could have asked and then I didn't. But I wish I had paid for him because he gave me so much good information and I would have liked to buy him his sushi, but, I didn't. So I gotta take more initiative next time. I was just nervous about speaking Spanish, but I shouldn't have been such a wuss. Such a frickin' wuss. Anyway, thanks, Jeremy. He gave me a experience by telling me about Lake Singuranacocha and me eventually finding it that I'm going to remember for the rest of my life. It was amazing, and I'll talk about that in a bit. I had terrible sushi afterward. The sushi was so not great, but decent that I was like, I should try other sushis in Cusco because that one wasn't bad. And then I went to this other restaurant and I got smoked sauce something sushi, and the smoked sauce, I just shuddered. Like visibly in the real world, my body actually shuddered because of how disgusting the memory of this sushi sauce was. It was the worst sauce I've ever had on sushi. And as a dish, it was, because of that sauce, the worst sushi I have ever had. It was horrifying. The smoked sauce was so strong. There was so much of it. I tried to be polite and I bought some sake and I just drank as much of that as I could to burn the smoke off of my tongue, which didn't work. After the whole carafe, I could still taste the devil sauce. Oh, so gross on my tongue. And I was like, thank you so much. I have to get it to go though. And I had eaten 3 of like 10 pieces. In the beginning, I was like, I can do this. And by a second piece, I was like, I will throw up if I eat more of this. And I took it outside and I threw it on the side of the road for the dogs a couple streets later. Like I pretended I was excited to take it home, but it was the most disgusting sauce. Ugh, so much smoky flavor. Disgusting. Disgusting! Maybe their other rolls are fine. I'm never going back to that restaurant again. I will say the okay one, the one that was just like regular, boring, not great sushi, but not bad sushi if you really need some sushi. Mr. Sushi. That place was fine. I don't want to say the name of the terrible one because maybe their other stuff is good. But that smoked sauce ruined that place for me. Ruined the entire sushi scene in Cusco for me, which is fine. It's 11,000 feet. I'm not expecting amazing sushi. That's why Mr. Sushi was surprising. It wasn't bad considering high elevation sushi. Okay, so thank you, Jeremy. Screw you, smoked sauce sushi. Then I had great ramen and Japanese karage from a Japanese restaurant in Cusco called Umai, which I can recommend unreservedly. The ramen dish, that's probably the one to get. I don't really like deep fried foods, so this karage was perfect. It was as good as any karage I have had in Japan, but I don't like karage a super lot, but this karage was very good and I devoured it. So if you like it, definitely get it. But for me, the most impressive dish is the ramen. They have good, not convenience store noodles, which is an important first start. And they have pretty thick sliced, well-prepared pork, soft-boiled egg, always soft-boiled, nori, a few pieces of nori in there, which is fantastic, and Chinese cabbage, some kind of cabbage mixed up. The food, I was shocked. The ramen tastes, the ramen stock especially, I don't know, it tastes authentic to me. It tastes like Japanese ramen stock. And the whole restaurant is so cool in Umai. They have Miyazaki paintings everywhere and figurines everywhere, and Japanese music videos are playing. It feels like you enter into a little pocket of Japan in Cusco. And there's wooden furniture. It's all very Japanese. It's fantastic. And the food tastes extremely authentically Japanese, more so than any restaurant I've been to outside of Japan since Panama. The sushi restaurants were really good, but it didn't feel exactly Japanese. It felt more fusion. This place felt like a Japanese restaurant. Every other Japanese restaurant that I have really liked, that sushi place in Panama, amazing. Miyagi sushi, still my favorite, so good. But that was a fusion restaurant. This place, they have 5 things on the menu, and they are made in the Japanese style of cooking. And they taste real good. I've been back for the ramen, I think, 2 more times, and back for a donburi once. But the donburi was just not as exciting. It was just rice and then good teriyaki chicken on top. But the ramen is so exciting and has everything, and the broth is so rich. It's just a much more exciting dish for me. If you are in Cusco, umai, oh my goodness, it's so good. And they fry stuff well. I haven't tried their katsu. Maybe I should just try it. But I don't like Japanese katsu that much. I just don't like deep fried stuff that much. Except, isn't there something deep fried? I've been eating picarones so much lately, which are these fantastic fried squash and sweet potato dough rings, deep fried. But I think I finally I've had enough of that because I ate them like 10 days in a row because they're so freaking good. Oh, the next thing is the cop confrontation I was talking about earlier. The guy got to El Salvador, and then it was a few days, and he asked me specifically about cops, and I was like, if they like you, just like in the United States, if they like you, you're fine. If they don't like you, you're in trouble. So be nice, try to see things from their perspective. If it doesn't feel good, just leave the area. He didn't. Confrontation. He was really worried. He's in a different city now, hopefully doing well. Hope you're doing well, buddy, if you're listening to this. It's been a week since I talked to him, but he felt very quickly, which is how everybody is. He got used to the traveling thing in the first week. He landed, he started exploring. He was like, whoa, this rocks. And now he's a traveler. It's wild how quickly you become a traveler by traveling. Once you start doing it, that's it. You are one. And everything you do, every single thing you do is a learning experience, and you're just going to get better at traveling. It just gets easier, and more things will be available to you. I wish the best for that guy. And I think he even learned from getting in a cop's face. I've done things like that. I've fought back against the culture and circumstances that were giving me so much, that I was learning so much from, that I was deriving so much benefit from. I've definitely been like, well, that's not how I think the world should work. That's how things work. Once you are living in a new lifestyle, once you're living in a new world, once you're living in a new perspective, your old habits and your old perspectives war for relevance, because it's so clear living abroad how unimportant the way you think the world works is. It just doesn't matter. There are 200 countries. There are states in every country, provinces. Every town has a different culture. It doesn't matter how you think the world works, because that is true, it is how the world works, and it is also completely false. It is not how the world works. If you're in your town, then maybe you understand a lot about how the world works when you are there. As soon as you're not there, you don't understand how the world works, but everybody around you does. And so you should always be trying to think from their perspective and respect their differences. That'll make it easier to understand how the world works in other places. If you treat their cultures on the same level as you hold your own culture in esteem. Anyway, that was a couple hours in this guy's life. It's over. It seemed like he learned from it, as I have many times before. I have made all of these mistakes so many times, and so many more mistakes. Whenever I'm on my soapbox or whenever I'm talking about these things, I'm trying to communicate a way for people to more seamlessly appreciate the world around them, because I have learned to appreciate the world around me by walking into walls and stubbing my toe and doing stupid things that did not help me time and time again. Because I learn by smashing my head against a rock, and I know I'm not going to break, so I keep doing it. I try never to hurt other people, but I don't mind smacking my head against a wall until it knocks some sense into me, because I know I will eventually learn a lesson. And now I can help people skip smacking their head against a wall. I can tell them, that they don't have to go down all those wrong paths. They don't have to insist on the importance of their culture. They don't have to make themselves hike if they don't like to hike for traveling. There's a lot of shortcuts I feel like I can help people with because I have gone through this for so long. So never think I'm talking from a perspective of I figured all this out from day one. I didn't. I have figured a bunch of stuff out about traveling now that makes life much easier. And I can just tell people the way to make their lives easier rather than watching them frustrate themselves any more than they have to. That's a learning process. Sometimes you will bash your head against a wall or get frustrated. Yeah, and you'll learn from it. But if I can help people get past that quicker to the nirvanic bliss of just living abroad and not having to do anything you don't want to do, yeah, I want to do that. I posted about Form 2555, IRS Form 2555, in which U.S. Americans living abroad for more than 330 days out of the year do not have to pay the first $125,000 worth of income tax. So if you live abroad more than 330 days out of the year, you don't have to pay up to $125,000 roughly per year to the IRS. You just fill out Form 2555, takes 15 minutes. People were very excited about this post. I have posted it before, and nobody cared, and they talked crap about it and doubted it, basically. And I just kept posting like, well, this is the IRS, direct link to that form and the explanation of it. And this time, people were into it. So I'm pretty happy about that because that was a very successful post for the travel community in general. And a lot of people had a lot of questions. And because I'm so familiar with the form and I've been using it for so long, I was able to answer all of their questions, and quite a few people were pretty excited to find out they didn't have to pay taxes as long as they went and lived abroad, lived outside of a country they didn't want to be living in anyway. A lot of U.S. Americans are pretty dissatisfied living in the U.S. right now. And I was like, great, choose one of these 150, 180 countries to go live in instead, and you also don't have to pay taxes as a bonus. They were into that. It was one of the most successful threads in the community until I just posted the wallpaper from Umai, that Japanese restaurant I'm talking about. It's that meme of the two women. There's like the woman pointing and screaming, and then her friend holding her back. And then the opposite picture is just a cat squinting at the lady screaming at them. This is like done in the old Japanese art style. I can't remember the name of it. And it's two Japanese ladies. It's the exact same meme. It's just with old Japanese style instead of the modern photo. And it was really funny on the Umai wall, and I was excited to see it. So I took a picture and posted it. And I think that's the highest. There's so much valuable travel information and relevant specifically to a lot of the posts on Lemmy. Like, how can I live outside of the U.S.? And is there any job where I can make a decent living? And I post that information, and they'll get like 20 upvotes maybe. And then I post this cat meme, 250 upvotes in a day. Like, just people were smashing that like button. It was really funny to see that. And it was great because I got a few more, not a ton, but I got a few more subscribers to the community. And the more people that join, the more people that comment, the more engagement there is, and the more people I'm getting more questions about traveling and engagement. I think people are learning that there is now an active travel community on Lemmy, which there hasn't been. That's part of the reason I didn't make a travel community for Lemmy, because there are probably a dozen different travel communities. So when I made mine, I was like, well, this will just be my travel blog, and if anybody has questions, I'll answer them. But I realized recently that all those travel communities are dead. People are asking questions, but they are getting unhelpful answers not related to travel. Someone will ask, like, has anyone heard if I travel to this East German town, what the transportation is like? And some idiot will just write, Germans good trains, or which if you're in Germany, Germans don't like their trains very much. They're not as happy with their train infrastructure as U.S. American culture would lead you to believe if you were unfamiliar with German trains. I think they're great, but German people don't really like their trains very much. What was I talking about? The community, yeah. So they'll just get a bunch of dumb responses that do not answer their question. And for a while, I answered I would go onto these other travel communities and answer, but it just wasn't very fun because it was dead. So if there was a question, I could help them, but they're all in different dead communities asking these questions. So I was like, this is great because I don't want to blog anyway. What I want is a travel community. I want people interested in travel, sharing their travels, asking questions about travel, and helping other people who want to travel because I haven't been to every country. If someone asks me anything about the 50, 60 countries in Africa, I can answer nothing unless it's about Morocco. And so I'm hoping that when this travel community gets big enough, there will be people ready to answer questions about the other 150 countries that I have not been to. And you know what? It's really fun too. I'm posting information. I didn't write about that. Another exciting post that got some traction recently was medical care abroad. And one Lemmy user got very upset because they're in the US healthcare world. And so they took it very personally that the US is not ranked very high in terms of quality of healthcare anymore. And those are just rankings. Like the US, it's still pretty high. I think a lot of that is legacy, but it's still like 15th in the world. Thailand is much higher than the US now in terms of quality of care, equipment, pretty much every single category. Accuracy of reports, cost, of course. Thailand vastly outranks the US these days. That's what the rankings are now. But this person got very angry about that. And that's why I made the post, though. I wanted people who were maybe unaware of the actual health rankings around the world to become aware of them. And a lot of people were interested. And I guess technically this person was interested too, just quite negatively. But that's okay. New information is upsetting to people. Just like traveling is upsetting to people, moving out of your house for the first time, moving away from your parents is upsetting to a lot of people. It's just changing situations, seeing things from different perspectives upsets people because we put so much effort into maintaining our perspectives and the things we tell ourselves that once you realize that your perspective is only as valid as any other perspective, it can be upsetting because it means that your world, the world you live in, is not as concrete as one would like it to be. It means that everything, your basis of knowledge for living is not infallible. It can fall apart at any moment. People get so upset about politics because it seems to me because they tell themselves this is politics, this is what it's like. And then something changes and they're like, whoa, that's not politics, that's incorrect. And that makes them really angry, but that's what politics is. It's changing all the time. People have different opinions. And then someone with a different opinion gets in office and, like Trump, they dismantle an important social program like USAID and 60 children start dying every hour. That's happening, by the way. 60 kids are dying every hour because of Trump dismantling USAID. Roughly. And 30 vulnerable adults. Yeesh. Let's not end on that. Let's end on Pomacanchi cheese. It's my favorite Peruvian cheese. I tried a few of them. Pomacanchi's the best. I gotta get some more Pomacanchi because it's really good and I can chop it into little bits to mix in with my Golgopa minced vegetable salad. Gives it a little bit of salt and a little bit of tasty protein and a little more texture. So I gotta get some more Pomacanchi. There, Pomacanchi is good to end on. It's a cool word, too. Oh, I wanted to mention, because I didn't write that down, Quechua. So, like half of the words here, like Pomacanchi or Singrenacocha, so many of the words here are in Quechua, which is such a cool language. There's so many k and chs and chochicats and just cool sounds. So it's really fun traveling to places and trying all these foods because half the time I get to speak in Quechua, which is really cool. So, Pomacanchi to you all. That means have good travel. I'm just kidding. It doesn't. I don't know. It's the name of a cheese. I think it's just the town that cheese is from. I think there's a town called Pomacanchi that makes cheese. If you want to travel, please talk to me. If you have questions about travel but you don't want to travel, talk to me. If you just want to talk to me. bitofarambler@gmail.com. Bit of a Rambler on Lemmy and Blue Sky. I will answer you. I have a lot of time to do that, and I think it's fun sharing this information, and especially if you have specific travel questions, I am very excited to share travel information. So I hope your day is going awesome. Mine is going cool. Maybe I'll climb a mountain in a few hours. Thank you so much for listening. Have a great rest of your day.